Good day, welcome to Readings and Philippine History, and for this session, we will now proceed to Chapter 3 of this course, One Past but Many Histories. This chapter presents some of the controversial events in the history of the Philippines, and each lesson will present the primary sources pertaining to these disputed accounts, followed by a discussion on the main issues and arguments. The first thing that we should consider for this lesson is that, can history be objective, or it is written from a point of view? Documents are not self-interpreting, and therefore need a human interpreter named historian. Being human, he brings with him not only his viewpoint, but also his biases, which the historian should rid himself of once he recognizes them. Few historians today would maintain the 19th century view that history is a science with laws as rigorous as those of the physical sciences. But if scientific history in that sense is a myth, the valid use of critical historical method is not. This method in its simplest terms requires the historian to base himself on documentation and to draw the evidence for his assertions or interpretations from the facts found in documents. But not only what constitutes a fact, but also what constitutes a document needs definition. Documents, on the other hand, need not be limited to those emanating from government offices or even to memoirs and letters. Other types of documents, though not relating historical facts, tell us much about the facts of people's ways of thinking or their perceptions of reality. Since such documents are even less self-interpreting than more conventional ones, their successful use depends even more on the historian's ability to put the proper questions to them. Taking on that account, for example, how would you interpret the imagery flashed on your screen right now? Is it a face or a vase? Historians may argue about the technicalities of determining the exact meaning of such manifestations of popular thinking and values. Reinaldo Ilieto's Passion and Revolution and other writings have demonstrated that such documents are a fruitful source for the historian. It has been said that the Philippines had one past but many history is true in this case. It pertains to location, number of islands, land area, river systems, mountains, site of the first mass, and cry of Balintawak. So here are the following conflicting views in Philippine history. First, number of islands and islets in the Philippines. Different authors of history books had different views on the number of islands and islets. For Molina, it is 7,083 islands. For Agoncillo and Alfonso, it is exactly 7,000. For Alip, 7,100. For Zaide, 7,083, same with Molina. And Ariola, 7,100. Second, location of the Philippines. According to Zafra, Philippines is located about 700 miles from the mainland of China. For Molina, Philippines is located southeast of the Asiatic mainland. For Alip, Philippines lies about 700 miles to the southeast of the Asia mainland. And for Zaide, Philippines is a sprawling archipelago fringing the southeastern rim of the Asian continent. Third, location of the Philippine Deep. Philippine Trench, Mindanao Trench or Mindanao Deep. This is the third deepest in the world, which is located on the east of the Philippines. Its length is 1,320 km or 820 miles and a width of about 30 km or 19 miles. This is located in Luzon, trending southeast to the northern Maluku Island of Indonesia. The Lafayette Dip, its deepest point, has a depth of 10,540 meters. According to Molina, Philippine Deep or Philippine Trench, which is found east of Mindanao, is second lowest region of the earth. According to Zaide, it is the lowest region in the world, an ocean depth east of Mindanao. Longest river in the world. The largest, longest, and widest river in the Philippines is the Cagayan River or Rio Grande de Cagayan. It is located in the northeastern part of Luzon that traverses the provinces of Nueva Vizcaya, Quirino, Isabela, and Cagayan. Small streams that originates from Balete Pass, Cordillera, Caraballo, and Sierra Mountains meet other streams and rivers and flow to the Cagayan River. The Rio Grande de Mindanao or Mindanao River is the second largest river located in the southern part of Mindanao. It has a length of 373 kilometers. Its headwaters are in the mountains of Impasugong, Bukidnon, south of Gingoog City in Misamis Oriental. So the following are the disagreement among the authors of the Philippine history. According to Alep, Cagayan River is the longest river in the Philippines. According to Molina, Rio Grande de Mindanao is the longest river in the Philippines. Same with Benitez. Zaide, the longest river is the Rio de Mindanao. And according to Google, Rio Grande de Cagayan is the longest and widest river in the Philippines, whereas Rio Grande de Mindanao or Mindanao River is the country's second largest river system with a length of 373 kilometers. Fifth, coastline. It is also called seashore, where the land meets the sea or ocean, or a line that forms the boundary between the land and the ocean, sea, or lake. Disagreements among the authors. According to Zaide, the Philippines coastline is the thrice longer than the US coastline with 10,850 statute miles. For Molina, the Philippines coastline is 11,446 statute miles. For Alep, the Philippine coastline is nearly 11,000 miles, and for Benitez, the Philippine coastline is 11,440 statute miles. Sixth, mountains. Mount Apo is the highest mountain in the Philippines, but historians disagree or differ in their data on the height of Mount Apo. For Agoncillo, Mount Apo is 9,600 feet. For Alep, Mount Apo is 9,699 feet. For Zaide, Mount Apo is 9,690 feet, and according to Google, Mount Apo is 2,954 in kilometers high. Seventh, Mount Pulag, or sometimes called as Mount Pulog, is the third highest mountain in the Philippines and Luzon's highest peak at 2.922 meters above sea level. It borders between the province of Benguet, Ifugao, and Nueva Vizcaya. According to Agoncillo, Mount Pulag is the second highest peak in Luzon with 8,481 feet. For Alep, Mount Pulag is 9,606 feet high. And according to Google, Mount Pulag is 2.92 kilometers high. The second highest mountain is Mount Dulong Dulong with a peak of 2,936 meters. Not many people are aware that only a handful of objects we think are national symbols are recognized by law. These include our national anthem, but doesn't mention a national hero or national fruit. The following is a list of objects that is recognized by the Constitution as national symbols in the Philippines.
The national tree, Nara. The Nara tree is a hardy species of indigenous flora. Although it can be found scattered around Asia and Africa, it is particularly respected in the Philippines as the national tree. The tree itself can reach heights up to 100 feet and carries with it a majestic crown of leaves. Its fragrant odor and durable bark make it a wonderful choice for woodwork projects and cabinetry.
National flower, Sampaguita. The Sampaguita is prolific in Manila, a fragrant white bud that many can find as floral offerings in churches and other places of worship. National bird, Philippine eagle. The endangered Philippine eagle is a majestic bird of prey that has powerful talons, a 7-foot wingspan, and blue-gray eyes. Most solitary and territorial by nature, the Philippine eagle needs thousands of hectares of forest land in order to thrive. National gem, pearl, declaring the Philippine pearl, otherwise known as the South Sea pearl, as the national gem. National sport, arnis de mano. For some textbook, sipa is the national sports in the Philippines, though former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo declared arnis as the national sport of the Philippines in 2009. Arnis has multiple names across the Philippines, such as eskrima, kali, and garote. It is a Filipino martial art that usually involves 1 or 2 sticks used to strike, thrust, and parry for defense and offense. National motto. Not known to many, we have national motto in the Philippines: Makadiyos, Makatao, Makakalikasan, at Makabansa. The national motto, as decreed under the Heraldic Code of the Philippines, emphasizes the values that Filipinos are taught to have. There is a focus on God, our fellow men, the environment, and the country. Now, the following national items are unofficial in the eyes of the Constitution, which means they are not considered or recognized as a national symbol in the Philippines. First, national hero, Jose Rizal. Some of the historians believe that Andres Bonifacio is more qualified compared to Jose Rizal. National dance, Cariñosa. It is also unofficial in the eyes of the Constitution. National animal, Kalabaw. National leaf, Anahaw. National fruit, mango. National food, adobo. National costume, Barot Saya and Barong Tagalog. National sleepers, Bakya. National house, Bahay Kubo. And we can also include Manny Pacquiao because they dubbed him as Pambansang Kamao. What problems have been encountered in writing, teaching, and study of history? What are the sources of distortions? Filipino historians were captives of colonial historiography who viewed our history from the eyes of the colonizers. There are still Filipino historians with colonial hangover and brainwashed. There are many imbalances contained in colonial historiography so as to hide the real motives and colonial interest. One-sided approach had colored our native history. There were indiscriminate recording of events basically because they were not trained as socio-anthropologists. Colonial historians has biased and limited observations that describe situations in our generalizations and were full of inaccuracies. Early writers of Philippine history were ethnocentric and tend to disregard native customs and values that does not conform to their colonialist tastes. History is gender blind. The participation of women in history was rarely mentioned. Narcissus complex. This concept is all about writers who focused only on achievements of Spaniards and Americans. National history is Manila-centric, tends to follow national political history, has omissions or data gaps relative to local history. Intellectual inadequacy of historical teachers were ill-prepared to be historians. And lastly, few history teachers doing historical research.